All right, let's jump into a really fascinating idea today, the invisible strength of what we'll call private confidence. We're going to unpack the surprising psychology behind why some of the most genuinely self-assured people out there often have the quietest online presence.
I mean, it's a real paradox, isn't it? Our entire world, especially online, is built to reward attention. Likes, shares, followers, that's the currency. So why would someone who seems to have it all together choose to stay out of that spotlight? That's the big question we're going to dig into.
So this really boils down to two totally different mindsets about self-worth. On one hand, you've got what you might call loud confidence. This is the kind that needs an audience. It feeds on external validation, the likes, the comments, the praise. But then there's quiet confidence. And this is a whole different ballgame. It's about feeling secure from the inside out. It runs on internal validation.
Now, to really get this idea of quiet confidence, I want to tell you this brilliant old story that just perfectly captures how something that looks like foolishness on the surface can actually be a sign of some seriously deep wisdom. So the story goes like this. In a small town, there was a minister's son, and pretty much everyone in town had decided that he was, not the sharpest tool in the shed. And for their own amusement, the townspeople would put him to this little test. They'd hold out their hands, and in one there'd be this big, valuable gold coin, and in the other, a much smaller, less valuable silver coin. And you know what? Every single time, without even thinking about it, the boy would reach out and take the silver coin. For everyone watching, this was just hilarious, proof that he really didn't get it. So everyone called him a fool. But here's the genius part. Because they all thought he was a fool, the game never stopped. They kept offering him the coins day after day because it was just too entertaining for them. Well, this goes on for ages, until one day, someone finally pulls the boy aside and asks him, "Son, why do you always take the silver? Don't you know the gold coin is worth so much more?" And the boy just smiles and says, "The day I choose the gold is the day the offers stop." See, he wasn't a fool at all. He was playing a much smarter long game. That story is way more than just a clever tale. It's a perfect metaphor for the psychology that drives quiet confidence. It's all about playing the long game, powered by an internal strategy that other people just don't see. So now let's break down the actual psychological principles at play here. Okay, so the first big idea is something called self-concept clarity. The best way to think about this is like having a rock-solid internal compass. It means you know who you are, what you stand for, and what you value so clearly that you don't get thrown off course every time someone has an opinion about you. And this is where it gets really practical. When you have this high self-concept clarity, you don't need that constant stream of digital applause to feel complete. What other people think, good or bad, doesn't rock your boat, because your foundation of self-worth is already set. It's stable. And that leads us right into the second key idea, having an internal locus of evaluation. So if self-concept clarity is knowing who you are, this is about who gets to keep score. It means you're the one judging your own performance based on your own rulebook, not one that the outside world gives you. And this table just lays it out so perfectly. When your evaluation is internal, you feel secure, you feel stable, you're in control. But when it's external, your whole sense of self is tied to likes, comments, and other people's views. It becomes fragile. It makes you anxious. You're just constantly riding this roller coaster of public opinion. So, let's put these two big ideas together. When you have that clear sense of self and you're judging yourself by your own standards, something amazing happens. You start to see that privacy isn't about hiding. It's actually a sign of incredible strength.
This is really the core message right here. Privacy becomes a sign of inner security. Think about that. You don't need the whole world to see you in order to feel seen because you already see yourself, and that's what truly matters.
It really is the difference between living a life and performing a life. When you are truly absorbed in what you're doing, when your relationships and your passions are genuinely fulfilling, you're just less worried about stopping to document it all for an audience. You're too busy actually living it. So, the big question is, what does all this mean for us in our own lives? Well, this is a great chance to just hit pause for a second, turn these ideas inward, and do a little self-reflection. All right, so if you take away just a few things from this, let it be these. First, real deep confidence doesn't need to scream. Second, your value as a person isn't measured by your visibility online.
Third, the validation you build for yourself on the inside is so much more stable and reliable than any praise you can get from the outside. And finally, choosing privacy isn't a weakness, it can be your greatest source of power.
And that brings me to one last thought to leave you with. We live in a world that is constantly shouting, constantly demanding that we show up and perform. So my question for you is this. In a world that shouts, what is your silence saying?